that's all I need.
It's a fuel tank off a fast mover. A drop tank, thank you. A fuel tank. There you guys go. Look at that. A fuel pod. I know I'm not the only one that was able to see that and go, what the hell? They're claiming this is a drone? That's gotta be a joke.
Think twice before you go out.
That's gotta be an absolute joke.
When fear becomes
not even freaking close to a drone.
The public understands that the regime
but they're
is no
putting
longer
that
sure
out, trying to make it seem like
Trump was asked about the possibility
now ask
of
yourself
arming
again,
protesters
why would the regime put out false information like that? Why would they need to claim that they shot down that they're winning the freaking battle over the street if they actually had it? They would have actual products, and they don't. They have zero proof that they're actually kicking butt over in the street. If anything, they have
not only an attack from the outside, but pressure from within.
They had to claim that we blew up multiple civilian vessels, and now they're claiming that a drop tank off of a fast mover is a freaking drone. That's pretty sad.
The economy.
It's fuel storage.
Internal fear
exactly
and the protest
it's
allows you
storage.
to war.
I could have been hit with flak or something like that, and then dropped out of the ocean, and then
no
flew around for a while until it washed up on shore, and they went over and grabbed it.
Even after a major strike,
it very well could
the regime can
Hey
survive.
Holmes,
See
find me
somebody
a
shredded
three-bedroom home in Atlanta.
It's got freaking holes.
Near a Whole
Make no mistake about it. We know Iran's got anti-aircraft like capabilities. We've seen it. They shot down
Now we are seeing
airplanes.
it in
It's not a
Tehran.
secret. It's
The
not a
blockade
W.
works differently.
It
does not give
30
one
days of
dramatic
bombing,
image
they managed to
like
hit
an
one plane.
explosion at the base.
30
It
days
does not always create the headline hallucination of a strike, but it applies pressure every day. It closes the revenue stream. It disrupts the trade. It burdens the economy. It makes the security apparatus
pretty
have
sad
whether
that
it will have money to obviously and salary next month.
People are starving.
War is not only fun. War is also
They have to take
this is
like propagandists from the West and to try to put out
one hand strengthened in a language that they understand. If Iran reaches a nuclear weapon, he says,
so I say all that to tell you
if you want to disappear. Then Iran will turn towards Europe and the United States. He describes the Iranian leadership as that they must not be allowed to possess nuclear weapons. On the other hand, it is an opening for an agreement. Pauses an operation and announces that talks are moving forward.
I'm gonna send him army days on the ground inside of Iran to help.
He does not behave like a
going
classic
into
American
the stock
president.
market.
He does not always use a straight line. He applies pressure, stops, threatens, smiles, threatens again. Then he talks about the
so he doesn't shoot up way
in the
too
Middle
high.
East. Sometimes uncertainty itself becomes a tool. Tehran likes predictability and predictable homes. Trump does not give into that. That's not him. So there's also a risk. If the Gulf states feel that they have paid the price of the war without the American response, they may lose trust. If Iran understands that attacks on the Emiratis will not bring a harsh response, it may try again. And if another ship hits critical oil markets and insurance companies react faster than diplomacy. That's why in a couple of days our president in the United States are probably don't want to watch American ambassador to Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu, on an unusual day. In Israel, the assessment is that the attack is not very bad led by revolutionary guards, and that not all secret regime
saw with Project Freedom is one way or the other. However, the United States is going to have free flow of traffic through the Strait of Hormuz.
Zigzag, incredibly one side denial of the agreement, firing on one side, and the latter,
the United States military is going to
demonstrate
whether
a struggle in direction. The military wing wants to preserve neutral. We have the diplomatic wing wants to strike a recession. The revolutionary guards need to show that they were not engaged. And the Arab establishment will prevent the street from understanding that these units weaker than it looks. In the north, the Lebanese arena has not disappeared. Marco Rubio said clearly that the problem between Israel and Lebanon is not Israel and it is not Lebanon. The problem Hezbollah. The organization operates from the Lebanese territory, hides amongst the population, fires towards Israel, and then brings an Israeli response that harms Lebanon.
And so I've got an image here.
It will be emphasized that the Lebanese government needs not only the will, but also the ability to disarm Hezbollah. This is a direct connection to Iran. Hezbollah is not only a Lebanese organization, it is an Iranian arm, just like Hamas in the Gaza Strip, the Houthis in Yemen, and the militias in Iraq. When Iran is pressured in Hormuz, it can try to divert the file to the north. That's why Israel cannot look only at the Gulf. It must keep one eye on Lebanon, on Syria, on Iraq, on Yemen, on Gaza, and on the Israeli home front. Germany is now also entering the picture. The German foreign minister said, alongside the foreign minister Guido Saar, that Germany is ready to take responsibility after the war ends and participate in protecting the Strait. This is not happening tomorrow morning, but the statement itself matters. Iran wants Germany to produce pressure on the America. It may discover that its move is turning Hormuz into a much broader international issue. Saar said that anyone who sees how this regime behaves towards its neighbors understands why it must not be allowed to obtain nuclear weapons. And that brings us back to the basic point. Hormuz matters, oil matters, the Emiratis matter, Lebanon matters, but above all of it hangs the nuclear question. Trump says that Iran must not obtain nuclear weapons. Putin says that the operation achieved its objective, but the diplomatic path must deliver results. Israel understands that if Iran comes out of this war feeling that it survived, kept its nuclear program, and kept Hormuz, the danger will return even greater. That is why the pause in Project Freedom is not the end of the story. It is a test.
People can make
$700
million
test of Trump, a test of the Gulf states,
that is
a test of Israel.
really bad for America.
Advances, we will see heavy.
And look, that just bothers the heck out of me. I love the things President Trump says, but he just doesn't back it up with anything. He doesn't do it. So there's another video that was put out by Iran, where President Trump's been talking about he's got all the cards and Iran doesn't. And listen to this one. This is, you have to say, this is pretty clever.
All right. Uno on the game platform.
Okay, so you have only one card.
Yes, uno. Game over.
I have all the cards right now.
Yes, but you lost.
We are giving them that fodder. We are making it, President Trump is making it so that people around the world are mocking us. And I don't like that one bit. I'm sorry. I said at the beginning, I support President Trump in what he's doing in Iran, in trying to take down the regime. But it does not help America for you to put the pressure on Iran and then say, okay, well, we're going to take the pressure off. We just proved to Iran and the whole world that we can sail our destroyers through the Strait of Hormuz, no problem. And we got attacked. We shot down drones and missiles and speedboats coming at our ships, and we made it through. We actually escorted 2 ships through the Strait of Hormuz. No problem, got them through. Big ships, cargo ships. And now all of a sudden we're going to we're turning that off. President Trump keeps saying Iran wants a deal so badly. They're calling me on the phone saying, sir, please, we got to have a deal. He's been saying that for a month and a half. And we don't have a deal yet. So whoever he's talking to on the phone is not the deal maker. It's some random dude with a Starlink, probably. I don't know. And obviously the stipulations in any proposed agreement between what Iran is proposing and what the United States is proposing. Those two things could not be further apart. Now, Axios, which is a fairly reputable news source normally, they have reported 5 times in the last 19 days, so basically 3 weeks, they've reported 5 times that the United States and Iran were very close to a deal. Did a little research on that and found out that those reports were all put out by the same guy. So apparently somebody in the White House has got that reporter on speed dial, and they keep calling him up and saying, hey, we're really close to a deal. We need to put that out. Whenever Axios puts that out, the markets, the oil market prices drop, start to go back to normal. And then when it turns out there's not a deal, they shoot right back up again. So somebody in the White House is playing this guy at Axios for their own benefit. I hope there's nobody in the White House that's actually trading on that, because again, they estimate $700 million has been gained by trading on that strategy. That's unacceptable. And what it means is that, like, I don't think we can believe Axios anymore, at least not from this one reporter, right? Now, okay, I'm going to be done with the criticisms of President Trump now. So if you muted me because you can't handle any criticisms of President Trump, you can come back now. President Trump is going to be meeting with President Xi in China on the 14th of this month. And apparently there was a phone call yesterday between President Xi and President Pezeshkian of Iran. Now, both Iran and China put out transcripts of that call, readouts of that call, but they didn't match up. The one from China said that President Xi told the Iranian president, look, it's time to end this. It's time to stop this war. Open the Strait of Hormuz, and you need to make that happen. That part of the conversation did not make it into Iran's readout of the call. Not surprising. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out as President Trump goes to meet with President Xi, but keep in mind that the foreign minister Aragachi of Iran is in China right now meeting with Xi first. And I don't know from a protocol standpoint, what does that show? Does that show that China values them more than the United States or whatever? Maybe they're just trying to get their story straight or whatever. But here is a interview that Aragachi gave after going to talk to President Xi. And I've translated this into English for you, so take a listen.
The foreign minister explained the reasons as follows.
Our Chinese friends also believe that post-war Iran is different from pre-war Iran, and that it has achieved an upgrade in its international status, its capabilities, and has proven its authority. Therefore, a new era of cooperation between Iran and other countries lies ahead.
Reviewing the
So that's Aragachi saying actually Iran's better off in the world's eyes now than we were at the beginning of the war. We have upgraded our prestige on the world stage by standing up to the great Satan. Their economy's in shambles, their currency's in free fall. Thank you very much. Kelly, could President Trump be waiting on production of the missiles because it's reported we were low? No, it's going to take a couple of years to rebuild our missile stockpiles. we're not that low, and they're at the point with this war where if they wanted to bomb Iran, they don't need to use missiles. They can use bombs, which we have an almost unlimited supply of, because we've wiped out their whole air defenses, or at least most of them. So no, that's not why. If you want to ask why has President Trump now, paused all this, I mean, let's see, we got Rubio here. Let's see, I got a bunch of clips from Marco Rubio. Do you know Marco Rubio is now, everybody always jokes about the fact that Marco Rubio wears all the hats in the White House. He's one of the most competent people in the Trump administration. He would have made a much better president than President Trump has. And he's very well spoken, very well, has a very good understanding of all the issues, speaks Spanish fluently, can talk to, people in Latin America, all that. And now he has another hat to wear because Carolyn Leavitt is out on maternity leave. So Marco Rubio, the Secretary I just spaced on him. Marco Rubio is now the press secretary as well, which is crazy. Here's one thing he had to say.
I think you're linking it. The operation is over. Epic Fury is the president notified Congress. We're done with that stage of it. Okay, we're now on to this project of freedom. As far as the negotiation is concerned, I think the president's been clear that part of the negotiation process has to be not just the enrichment, but what happens to this material that's buried deep somewhere that they still have access to if they ever wanted to dig it out. That has to be addressed, and that's being addressed in the negotiation. I'm not going to go further on what progress has been made on that topic because I don't want to endanger the negotiations, but suffice it to say that the president and this entire team is aware of the centrality of that question, and that will have to be addressed one way or the other.
Okay, but you hear what he said there at the beginning. He said, look, Operation Epic Fury is over. Done. Now we're on to Project Freedom. And that was literally like minutes before President Trump announced that Project Freedom was paused. And he announced it on Truth Social. So it makes you wonder if, is President Trump letting his people know when he's making these decisions? Or are they having to keep their eyes on Truth Social all the time to figure out what the heck the president is doing right now? What's his latest opinion on this? Because it flops back and forth so violently that his cabinet's got to be like, oh my gosh, not again. So Rubio is saying now we're into Project Freedom, but Project Freedom is now paused. Now, if you want to ask why is President Trump doing this, there's some speculation that he's doing it so that they can reset that 60-day clock under the War Powers Act and restart kinetic operations at some point in time in the near future without triggering a meltdown in Congress because he didn't get their permission to go to war. Congress can't get anything done, so there's you never get permission. We could be occupied by China, by Chinese forces. They could be sweeping across the Midwest, and Congress still would not be able to come up with a declaration of war. These guys are as useless as teats on a boar hog, as they say in West Virginia. So anyway, the question is, did President Trump do this because he's trying to reset the War Powers Act? And I have to point that out. There's a very real possibility that President Trump is posting this stuff just to confuse our enemies. He's also succeeding in confusing our allies and our own people. But maybe he's about to order a new kinetic strike and he's just getting them to let their guard down by Operation Pausing Freedom. The other sort of rumor is that President Trump paused Operation Freedom because a French flagged ship, remember I showed you the 3 different lanes in the Strait of Hormuz?
Nate, maybe you can put up a map of the Strait of Hormuz real quick. But if not, no big deal. Remember, I showed you that, the original lanes for the ships transiting through the Strait of Hormuz went right through the middle of the strait. And Iran changed that to make them go up in the north and go through that Larak Island and Hormuz Island as a gateway, which they're still asserting that they're going to continue doing that. And then President Trump came up with a third option, which goes right along the south coast of the Strait of Hormuz, as far away from Iran as possible. And he announced ships can now go through these southern routes and we will protect them. Well, a French flagged ship was going through on that southern route yesterday and was struck with an anti-ship missile from Iran. So, yeah, we really didn't actually protect the ships that were going through there. And maybe we just, President Trump is like, we're going to have to think of something else because we can't actually, protect those ships that want to go through. Remember, there was something like 130 ships every day that went through the Strait of Hormuz before the war started. We've had like 40 ships go through in the last 2 months because of the war. So people are saying, President Trump is saying we won the epic fury. No, we didn't. We didn't win. What you cannot call what we've done so far a win. And everybody's trying to make the case. All the people, even Marco Rubio has to make that case when he's talking to reporters, because if not, he'll get fired. He said this.
Ask you of any of the fast.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Hegseth, but listen to this one.
Are there any armaments larger than, say, small, AK-47 type stuff, or any anti-ship cruise missiles identified? And my second question is, if there's a divide between the IRGC and Tehran, is there a way to get Tehran to agree to let us go after the IRGC that is doing these attacks without violating the ceasefire?
Well, right now, anything coming at our crafts, regardless of what's on it, has to be defended against, and that's the case. I don't know what the exact armaments that were on those fast boats.
Small arms, nothing significant on the fast boats.
Rifles or small machine guns. There were some small coastal cruise missiles shot down as well. So there's some frothiness in the beginning aspects of this that were dealt with very quickly by our destroyers, and we're communicating both overtly and quietly to the Iranians to allow this defensive operation to happen on behalf of the world. There are some actions the IRGC takes sometimes that are outside the bounds of what maybe Iranian negotiators would like. That's their job to rein that in, and ultimately create a condition for a deal, right? That's not something I talked about in these remarks, but that's happening in real time. Iran has an ability to make that deal, but what we're demonstrating with Project Freedom is they don't control the strait. I mean, we know Iran is embarrassed by the fact that our blockade is holding, and we can run ships through, and we're going to help the world run ships through. And if they hold it at issue, the whole world knows
American
who's doing it.
operation, a blockade that remains in force.
Yeah, well,
Any
apparently
regime
not.
trying to
We're
stable
apparently
while
not
the ground around it
yet
is moving. If
able
the agreement
to open
fails,
the Strait of
the
Hormuz and let
question will
anybody
no
go
longer
through,
be whether
because
the fighting
one of the first
returns,
ships I
but
tried
who will
got
get
hit with
the
a missile.
first reason to open fire
Not cool.
again.
Not a good look.
So keep spreading
For
the
us.
truth. Follow us, and most importantly,
This goes back to what I've been saying all along.
Subscribe button
The
so to stay
only
tuned to the truth in real time and never miss
feasible way
another episode of
that we can
You can also
do
keep
this
looking for us on social media
is to
platforms.
get rid of the IRGC. Getting rid of the IRGC is going to take a lot bigger commitment than what
the
we
best
have
thing that you can
given
do
so far.
in this war.
And as
is to
long
pray.
as the enemy
When you pray,
is saying
pray
we're not done
for
fighting,
wisdom to our leaders.
as long as the
Pray
enemy
for them
is
to make the right
saying,
decisions that involve all of our
this,
lives. Pray for the enemies.
list of demands from the
Your
United
enemies.
States
I know
is
it's hard.
a wish
Believe me, I
list.
know
It's
hard.
not actually
God told us to pray for them.
realistic at
I pray
all.
for them not to succeed in attacking us or in their schemes. Let's pray for them.
I think we got a problem.
Come closer
That's
to
not
his
winning
will,
the war.
his heart, for him
We
to
can
affect
destroy their
hearts.
entire navy.
Pray for the
We
children.
can destroy their
Pray for those
nuclear
that are affected
capabilities. We
traumatically
can
by this war.
pray
for the family unit in
just
Israel that is under attack because of
drop
so many
bombs
days
all
of
day long
separation
on
between
their
husbands and
missile
wives
production
due to this war.
facilities.
And keep praying.
We can destroy their air force. We can assassinate their leaders. But if they are still shooting anti-ship missiles at ships going through the Strait of Hormuz, or putting mines in the Strait of Hormuz, or flying drones at ships in the Strait of Hormuz, it's not over. President Trump isn't going to like that fact. He doesn't like that fact. And I just wonder, how much do people actually tell President Trump of what's actually happening? Because he kind of seems like he's living in his own little world over here. They're begging us for a deal. Well, that's not what they're saying in public. So maybe they're begging him for a deal in private and then saying something completely different in public. But don't you think after a couple of months of this that he would kind of address that problem
We can't say baby.
and say, look, you guys keep begging me for a deal, but you keep saying in public that you're not asking for a deal. You need to fix that, or we got nothing to talk about. But right now it's Iran that's saying to the United States, we got nothing to talk about. We're winning. Our prestige in the world has gone way up. We've successfully survived an all-out bombing campaign by the United States. That's what they're saying. So you don't have to agree with that, but it doesn't matter if you agree with it or not. As long as Iran agrees with that sentiment, we're not done. You know, I was taught in the military that if you get into a gunfight and you shoot somebody, you don't just shoot them once until you think they're dead and then, move on. You have to keep shooting them until they think they're dead. And that's exactly what we're going to have to do with this conflict if we want to actually win. President Trump is gaslighting the American public by saying that we've already won the war. No, we haven't. Nowhere close. We've done a lot to knock down Iran's ability to threaten its neighbors, but not enough.
To the language, but I don't know if it'll avoid a veto or not, but the language.
Hey, we need to talk. When you're driving, we're watching. We see you glance at your phone or touch up your makeup. You always say,
Pay attention.
so why don't you? We appreciate you driving us everywhere, but we get worried sometimes. Our safety depends on you. Depends on you. So think about us in the backseat. Think about us. And drop the distractions. Please, be safe when you're driving. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Taking possession of an international waterway and blowing up commercial vessels and putting mines in the water. I don't know if people appreciate how outrageous this is, how unacceptable it is that any country would fire and try to sink commercial vessels or put mines in the water. Both of these things are illegal. And so we're going to take it to the UN. We're going to give it another chance to be a forum in which we're not even asking people to commit troops to the region and help blow up the Iranian boat. All we're asking them to do is to condemn it, to call on Iran to stop blowing ships, to remove these mines, and to allow humanitarian relief to come through because there's humanitarian aid that's trapped. That's it. It's a very modest request. And if you're telling me that the international community and hundreds of countries cannot rally behind that, then I don't know what the utility of the UN system is if it can't even solve something as straightforward as that. And I think to both the Chinese and the Russians, I would argue and have argued that it is in their interest for that resolution to pass and for pressure to be brought on Iran, because it is in their interest not to see international waterways, including the Straits of Hormuz, be closed down and cause economic chaos to dozens and dozens of countries around the world.
Very, very good point there by Marco Rubio. What good is the United Nations if they can't even condemn what Iran is doing to an international waterway? I mean, their hatred for Israel and I would venture to say for the United States, is so fierce that these liberal whack jobs that populate the United Nations are unable to condemn something that obvious. Now, what we're doing is we're trying to force all the countries in the UN to go on the record whether they support this or not. It's not likely that we could get a resolution passed through the UN because there are two countries that have veto power that will veto anything we put forward, and that's Russia and China. So that means that the UN is almost as useless as the US Congress at this point. But nevertheless, Rubio went on to talk about the bridge
that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon because they would use it against places that have a lot of Catholics and Christians and others for that matter. It goes back to the central point. I think the president, without trying to speak for him, but I think I can characterize it this way. He doesn't understand why anybody, leave aside the Pope, the president, and I, for that matter, I think most people, I cannot understand why anyone would think that it's a good idea for Iran to ever have a nuclear weapon. Look what they're doing with the Straits right now. They're holding the whole world hostage. They have these sailors, on commercial ships that are going to starve to death out there. They don't care. They don't care that this is melting down the economies around the world, even of their own allies. This is what they're doing with the Straits. What do you think they would do if they had a nuclear weapon? They would hold the world hostage with that nuclear weapon. That's what they would do. They would do exactly to the world with a nuclear weapon what they're doing now with the Straits. And I think the president's point is how anyone cannot see that as an unacceptable outcome and an unacceptable risk. It's beyond him. It's puzzling. And someone has to do something about it. The difference between this president and the 6 presidents that preceded him were that he's the only one that's actually been willing to do something about it. Everyone says Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, but you got to do something about it at some point. And he's been willing to address that threat. And that's what he promised he would do when he got elected, by the way, is address threats like this.
Okay, so and he's saying the last 6 presidents didn't do anything about it. Sort of implied in that is President Trump was one of those last 6 presidents, and he didn't do anything about it the first time. But thank God he's trying to do something about it now. Let's just pray that he will have the guts to stick it out until the end.
And it really is important for them to understand this, is they really shouldn't test the will of the United States, at least not under President Donald Trump. He has proven time and again that he will back up what he says. And if they test him, ultimately they will lose. The hard way, the easy way, the long way, the short way, they will lose.
So that was trying to keep his job right there. Marco Rubio has to say things like that or he'll get fired. President Trump always backs up what he says. Except then why are all of our adversaries putting out images of President Trump serving tacos to the mullahs, the ayatollahs in Iran? If President Trump always backs up what he says, we would have had this war over with a long time ago. But he doesn't. President Trump kind of addressed this with when he was asked about it in a press conference as well. Whoops. Oh, no, that's not it. Sorry. I had the wrong one loaded. Okay, now, last but not least, Marco Rubio gave, I think, one of the best answers to a question about why is America special. And it was a question asked by one of my colleagues at CBN in that same press conference. And he came up with this answer off the cuff. So if you want to know why I think Marco Rubio would make a better president than President Trump, it's answers like this that are why.
At a time such as this.
My hope for America?
And how do you personally deal with that?
Yeah, look, my hope for America is what it's always been. I think it's the hope I hope we all share. We want it to continue to be the place where anyone from anywhere can achieve anything. Where you're not limited by the circumstances of your birth, by the color of your skin, by your ethnicity, but frankly, it's a place where you are able to overcome challenges and achieve your full potential. I think that should be the goal of every country in the world, frankly. But I think in the U.S., we're not perfect. Our history is not one of perfection, but it's still better than anybody else's history. And ours is a story of perpetual improvement. Each generation has left the next generation of Americans freer, more prosperous, safer, and that is our goal as well. But it is a unique and exceptional country, and as we come upon this 250-year anniversary, I think we have a lot to learn and be proud of in our history. It is one of perpetual and continuous improvement, where each generation has done its part to bring us closer to fulfilling the vision that the founders of this country had upon its founding. So,
boom! I mean, that is excellent. So well said. I just think you don't get much better than that. Okay, now I'm going to pivot over to what's going on in Mexico. Many of you probably have not heard because there hasn't been a lot of reporting about this, but there's an epidemic of people disappearing in Mexico, and it has to do with the cartel violence there, the drugs and all that. And there are some groups that are called collectives that are going around and uncovering mass graves all around in Mexico. I may go down there in a week or two and join Oscar and go see some of these. But Oscar was just in Jalisco. You know, Jalisco just got picked to host like the World Cup or some FIFA something soccer thing, and so there's a lot of attention on Jalisco right now. And what they are finding is that there are these mass graves all over the place. So I want to play for you a video Oscar shot while he was down there, and then I've got Oscar live. He's going to be on with us in just a second.
As we're leaving, there's two guys right here on the back of a so-called little small taxi. They just arrived and they're asking questions about what are we doing over here and what are our intentions to be over here, and if we're searching for bodies. This tells you how they're safeguarding this place and how they do not want nobody around this area and these premises. These guys right here in the back. Crazy.
All right, I've got Oscar Blue Ramirez on with me from Tijuana. How's it going, my brother?
It's going well, Chuck. Thank you for having me on your incredible, podcast show. And I cannot agree with you more about Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is a fantastic. I think that he's going to be the best candidate to run the country. And what he said lastly is just incredible. That's the America that everybody knows.
And everybody wants to be
United
part
States
of
America. Yes,
That's
absolutely.
right. That's why Mexicans are so good at jumping that fence, because they want that. They want that.
If there were an Olympics, we will win all the gold medals, baby.
Fence jumping. Yeah. Well, so the only problem is that anybody who can run, jump, or swim is already in the United States.
There's never enough jumpers and swimmers, Chuck.
So, folks, if you don't know who Oscar Ramirez is, he's a Mexican journalist, a good friend of mine. He and I have traveled all over the world together. Been to a lot of war zones, Ukraine and Israel and Colombia and every place. He's doing some really good work and literally puts his life on the line, as you just saw in that video there, to bring news out of Mexico. And so I want to just have you, Oscar, give us a rundown on what's going on down there. What is with all these disappearances?
Well, the Mexican president is trying to please the Trump administration, the pressure that the Trump administration, and let's not even say the Trump administration, let's say Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is the one that is actually having the negotiations with the Mexican president, and it's the one that is actually pressuring the Mexican government to expose all these dirty politicians and all these ties from the three branches of government that they have with the organized crime and the cartel. Just recently, the governor of Sinaloa was exposed to be having links directly with the Chapo Guzman. A lot of, more than 50 plus politicians have been exposed from, the Department of Treasury, that goes directly with Marco Rubio and all these decisions that he's taken from the United States. More than 50 plus cartel leaders have been extracted into the American government to be judged. More than 2,000 laboratories have been destroyed. This all because of the pressure of the Trump administration, the United States of America. And because of this, the cartel has done something for years now, but under the AMLO administration, the past administration of Sheinbaum that is leftist, a lot of missing people have been gone, again, missing. And the cartel has understood that with no body, there's no evidence. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands, Chuck, hundreds of thousands of people. This is an inhumane crisis. From 2006 to now 2026, 130,000 people have gone missing. On the AMLO administration, under the AMLO administration, more than 211,000 murders due to cartel activity and violence. Right now, shame-bound because she cannot, basically, like we say in Mexico, tapar el sol con un dedo, just, blind the sun with just one finger. She said on her statistics and stats that under her year and 6 months, 17,500 people have gone missing. And, when I went to Jalisco this past week, all the searcher groups, these groups of people, family members that dedicate themselves to search for their family members, they said just 17,000 they're here on this state. So we're talking about that she's basically lying about this. Why? Because you got the FIFA World Cup. You don't want to tell the Trump administration that this is actually happening on your next door neighbor. You got more than 39 Americans that also they're lost in Jalisco, and they're basically possibly they're in the mass grave. They have found human remains. The extermination camp, I went there. Horrible, Chuck. Just 1 minute away from Akron Stadium. Akron Stadium, not in Ohio. Akron Stadium, yeah, this is part of the mass graves. Akron Stadium in Guadalajara, Jalisco, they will be the host of the FIFA World Cup. 1 minute away from there, they found 169 bags of human remains. And it was not the government, Chuck. It was a construction company that it was digging, and it was going to make an apartment complex next to like an Airbnb's to rent to go to the stadium. They started removing the dirt, and they found 169 bags. Then from there, 10 minutes away from there, they found 179 bags in another, a neighborhood that is called Las Agujas, extremely dangerous. 179 bags of human remains. We try to go there, and the leader of this group told us that he received a phone call, and he told them, if you come, you're going to get killed. So there was a 90% possibility that if we went over there, we would not be able to come out. We went to another, neighborhood in Jalisco that they had a anonymous call to these, social media pages. That's what they have. And they have these anonymous calls or anonymous messages. And they gave them the direction and an address of a place that they had a body in the backyard. We went over there, and actually there was a body in the backyard. A small backyard, like a 2x4. It's just like it's just unbelievable what is happening, and a lot of it has to do with the extraction of organs, the market of extraction of organs, also the recruitment of minors. Why? Because the cartel is basically stealing all these minors, kidnapping all these minors, forcing them to do sicariatos, that is basically killing somebody, to be a sicario, or to kidnap, or to torture, and then after that they get rid of the evidence, and they don't pay nobody. So they dedicated this new strategy to just kidnap people, use them, and then kill them.
Well, so you said that you're not just finding mass graves with bodies in them.
That's
You're
exactly
finding torture houses. You sent me this other video. You sent me a bunch of pictures. I can't show those pictures on TV. Holy cow, they get me banned in a minute. It's no wonder you got demonetized on YouTube, man.
Pretty rough. Pretty rough.
In the part of Guadalajara, Jalisco, where the epicenter of missing people, kidnappings, abductions, and also cartel mass graves by the organized crime. It is located right here in Jalisco. It has been the epicenter of finding human remains and finding thousands of bone fragments in different locations where the cartel has been burying humans. And then later on, these search groups have been finding them. This place right here, this house that you look in, it is a torture house. It has been reported that the organized crime used to use this house to torture people and then later on bury individuals on the backyard or in the mountain area. Let's go inside this torture house so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. As you can see, there's no rooms. It is pretty, crazy the way that this house that is being built. The only rooms that they're being built or made inside of this house, as you can say, are small rooms, and this is where they used to put the people and torture them. It has multiple small rooms. As you see, this is the first one right here. On the bottom, you see some debris, but this is the first, the first room, the torture room. If you go to other couple of rooms, it's crazy. The other couple of rooms are small rooms also, but also you can see that they're pretty small, and they have holes where they used to, the collector group or the searcher group used to tell us that is where they used to hang
the chains or the utensils where they used to torture them. This is another room. Look at this, how crazy it looks. You actually see debris of shoes and all kinds of debris on this abandoned house. Also, you have another room right there that is exactly the same as the other ones, but there used to be a torture room right here. You're actually going to see this on a mini documentary that we're going to be putting out on this whole week, that we're going to be walking with these search groups, finding mass graves and finding bodies that they have been buried by the organized crime and the cartel. More evidence. Right here you see some cable where they used to torture them, and then they used to tie them up. Some holes that they have been digging, the collective group. And now we go to the evidence that it has been found. We found bone fragments right here, presumably of human beings. Right here you see this, the bone fragments.
So, Oscar, you know, when I was in Syria, I've been there several times when I've found similar torture houses that were put together by the Islamic State, the Black Pajama Boys. And Syria is a failed state, or it was, and there are a lot of people that say Mexico should have that.
Senator Susan Collins delivers from Maine, bringing $190 million for rural hospitals and health centers. And Senator Collins co-sponsored the Halt Fentanyl Act, cracking down on drug traffickers, keeping Mainers safe. Susan Collins,
and convicted of murdering someone, is so low by percentage of the number of murders that you have like a 90% chance. You could just, you know, grab somebody off the street, slit their throat, dump them in a hole out in the desert someplace, and there's a 95% chance that you're going to get away with it. That doesn't sound like a civilized country to me, which is why I keep telling you need to move to Panama. What do you think? Is Mexico a failed state, or because it seems like so many of your politicians are actually, in the pocket of the cartel? Because it seems like there's 9 people who are actually state. I mean, when you see stuff like this happening, and the murder clearance rate in Mexico is so low, and that means the number of people who are actually charged and convicted of murdering someone is so low by percentage of the number of murders that you have like a 90% chance. You can just, grab somebody off the street, slit their throat, dump them in a hole out in the desert someplace, and there's a 95% chance that you're going to get away with it.
And when people from our military are saying that, and you have all these people that say don't put your kids in public school,
what do you think?
And then people want to play fucking stupid that are connected to the cartel around here, protecting sick child molesters, feeding child and animal pornography, which they're well known for. And when you see what's happening here in Augusta, Maine, hopefully the proper authorities do what they're supposed to do to bypass these sick, pig-headed, cartel-associated pieces of shit that don't want to acknowledge the facts and concerns. My name's Mary, and we're at the Governor Hill Mansion in Augusta, Maine, and I have 4 children here. My youngest 2 are in the hands of sick, murderous pedophiles. His name's Michael Scott Garand. He was born 6/22/1984. Was he supposed to help you get some of the cartel people? Right, so we've explained to people how those wires were being crossed. Yeah, we tried explaining that. The private investigator in 2009 tried explaining that too. There's a picture of him right here. His name is Chris LaJoy. Yeah, he tried telling them. They didn't want to listen. He shot himself in 2009, supposedly. Whether he really did, or it was one of those had to get out of Dodge, because these people are fucked. Yeah, I can't blame them.
As shields to ask and to go and to ask them, what are you doing here? What is this? What is that? That happened actually. So if you're talking about what is going on in Mexico right now, the grouping of minors,
can't let them catch
children. The government how is treating this catastrophe, this crisis, what is happening. Everybody that is in their right mind, that is not receiving a socialist bonus, knows that we are a failed state. Knows everybody. Everybody knows that we're having a lot of problems of how to control this.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that it is going to be extremely difficult.
One can only hope and pray.
Get this
No, and when you see how stupid they play to it and they continue to act as though people are supposed to do something about us, that's really pissing off a lot of good people within and out of the systems. Yeah, and as you can see, the ones that pat him on the back for it are the sick motherfucking pieces of shit playing their games within the systems, committing fraud, concerned about getting the bullies and the non-vaxxers.
So, you know, the ironic thing about this is,
yeah, it's pretty sick.
Mexico is a failed state, and I think you can make a really good
Yes.
It's the only
Alexa, you can shut your ass off now. Anyways, but yeah, he tried telling him 2009. So sometimes they really do kill themselves, and other times they set things up to take themselves out because people are fucked and they're doing some sick shit and they don't want to acknowledge it. Yeah, so hopefully people wake up. We're concerned about the children that are in imminent danger in the custody of these sick fucks that people want to say are well taken care of. You demented pieces of shit. Yeah, I'd get your fucking drug addicted, nasty fucking asses out of here. I'd pack your shit and get the fuck out if I were you. 1, 2, 3, and I'd sell your businesses with what you've been doing in this community and targeting our children. You people are fucking sick and you need help. It's a mental illness and it needs to be addressed. So my name's Mary. Once again, we're at the Governor Hill Mansion in Augusta, Maine. If anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns, or would like to report on the facts here and help bring awareness and understanding to the public as to the concerns with the vaccines and overprescribing of SSRIs and how that's connected to our state departments and these nasty activists and traveling bands of goons and salesmen and marketers and really good people and journalists and just people trying to get off the street, turn the page, have a better life, you know. Trying to make a few extra bucks, pay the bills. I know, life is rough. Most people are good. We're trying to do the best we can to help expose these networks without getting innocent people targeted. And they usually will target the ones who go, hey, hold on a second. There's some bad shit going on over there. And if you even try to acknowledge it, all of a sudden you've touched a 16-year-old or you're a druggie or some kind of criminal. And yeah, no one's going to listen to you anyways. And this is what's been going on for decades. So hopefully people wake up to that and they bypass the ignorant citizens around here and in other communities that don't want to wake the fuck up and keep licking each other's assholes and protecting sluts and drug dealers and nasty pieces of shit committing fraud within our system. Some are so rich and well-to-do, aren't they? And they love their puppy dogs and their drugs just as much as the fucking bums on the street. Just because they have better outfits and bigger bank accounts doesn't make them any less of a fucking bum, you nasty fucking piece of shit. You got me, buddy? All right, page 615. Shout out Christopher Robin. Psalm 85, prayer for divine favor. For the leader, a psalm of the Korites. You once favored, Lord, your land. Restored the good fortune of Jacob. You forgave the guilt of your people, pardoned all their sins. Selah. You withdrew your wrath, turned back your burning anger. Restore us once more, God our Savior. Abandon your wrath against us. Will you be angry with us forever? Drag out your anger for all generations. Please give us life again, that your people may rejoice in you. Show us, Lord, your love. Grant us your salvation. I will listen for the word of God. Surely the Lord will proclaim peace to his people, to the faithful, to those who trust in him. Near indeed is salvation for the loyal. Prosperity will fill our land. Love and truth will meet. Justice and peace will kiss. Truth will spring from the earth. Justice will look down from heaven. The Lord will surely grant abundance. Our land will yield its increase. Prosperity will march before the Lord, and good fortune will follow behind.
Somebody I just want to get to this question real quick.
Psalm 86.
Watched you for
prayer in time of distress. A prayer for David.
So, are you saying, sir,
Hear me, Lord, and answer me, for I am poor and oppressed. Preserve my life, for I am loyal. Save your servant who trusts in you. You are my God. Pity me, Lord, to you I call all the day. Gladden to the soul of your servant. To you, Lord, I lift up my soul. Lord, you are kind and forgiving, most loving to all who call on you. Lord, hear my prayer and listen to my cry for help. In this time of trouble, I call for you. Will you answer me? It is, and to have that sense of loving and forgiveness and to answer those with some questions in the current moment, right in the now. Yeah, we do. We love, forgive, and understand a lot of people who have been blindly protecting these sick mother effers, abusing our children. And many of you have been angered, thinking the systems need to do something about us, disrespecting our parents, using foul language, accusing innocent people. And if the systems are going to allow people such as myself to accuse innocent people of such things, and they're not going to do anything about it, well, yeah, then they get upset and then they start using that as an excuse to act like total fools and commit fraud. So that's just what's been happening in a lot of these situations. There are a lot of me's. So if you hear me out, usually the me isn't aware, and we're usually dead or too retarded. Yeah, we're usually dead by now. Or we're too retarded to know what the fuck's going on. Too medicated, too caught up with other things. Yeah, we don't even know the kids are being abused. That's usually how it goes in these cases, and a lot of investigators are well aware of that. Right, so we are loving and forgiving, to all of you, of course. And that's why we say, forgive them, Father. They don't know what they do. Yeah, but as a dead mother, believe me when I say, we're going to continue to speak out the truth until the proper authorities address these facts and concerns and help our children. And we do hope that the sick motherfuckers abusing these children in such horrific ways, you have no idea, day in and day out, the torture these kids go through. It's so fucking sad. So fucking sad. The depression and the fear that these kids go through. And you need extra medication for having to deal with their mother speaking the truth. Isn't that beautiful? All right. Hey. Right, so yeah, we do. We hope that those sick motherfuckers and you pieces of shit protecting them that want to continue to cause issues within our systems instead of help bring awareness. Yeah, we hope you burn in hell forever and ever, and that you feel the pain and torture these kids have felt tenfold from the bottom of our achy, breaky heart. None among the gods can equal you, O Lord, nor can their deeds compare to yours. All the nations you have made shall come to bow before you, Lord, and give honor to your name. For you are great and do wondrous deeds, and you alone are good. Teach me, Lord, your way, that I may walk in your truth, single-hearted and revering your name. I will praise you with all my heart, glorify your name forever. Lord, my God, your love for me is great. You have rescued me from the depths of Sheol. O God, the arrogant have risen against me. A ruthless band has sought my life. To you they pay no heed. But you, Lord, are a merciful and gracious God, slow to anger, most loving and true. Turn to me, have pity on me. Give your strength to your servant. Save this child of your handmaid. Give me a sign of your favor. Make my enemies see to their confusion that you, Lord, help and comfort me. Glory be to the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you. Welcome.